Hello, everyone. In environmental science, some concepts are more than just facts. They're actually powerful tools for your exam preparation. Today, we're going to unlock one of those, Sentinels of the Wild. You'll find that understanding this will not only give you a fascinating look into ecology, but it'll also give you a high-impact keyword to really elevate your answers in both the mains and the interview. So let's start with a little puzzle. What could a frog in a pond, a canary in a cage, and an emperor penguin way out on the ice possibly have in common? I mean, they're from totally different worlds, right? But they all share one crucial ecological role. They are all what we call sentinel species. So what exactly is a sentinel species? Well, the formal definition is right there on your screen. It's a species whose health is a direct signal of the health of its whole ecosystem. But, a simpler way to think about it is this. They are nature's alarm system. They give us that first critical warning that something, somewhere, is going wrong. That's a great way to put it. So what makes a species a good natural alarm? Well, there are a few key characteristics, and listen up because these are the exact key words you'll want to be using in your answers. First, they tend to occupy a fixed territory. Second, they live long enough for environmental toxins to actually build up in their bodies. And third, and this is probably the most important, their physiology is highly sensitive, which means they react quickly to even small changes. Mastering these points is what will add real scientific depth to your explanation. Exactly. And that makes them nature's first responders. They're the ones showing the first signs of trouble, whether it's from pollution or a new disease or the effects of climate change, often long before more resilient species are affected. And sometimes even before our own fancy scientific instruments can pick up on the problem. Let's look at some real-world examples, just to make this crystal clear for you. Frogs, they're the classic indicators of pollution. Canaries, well, they're the historical benchmark for toxic gases. Honeybees can reveal the chemical load in our farmlands. Up in the Arctic, polar bears tell us about the buildup of contaminants. And so critically for our times, emperor penguins are our sentinels for global warming. Having this range of examples ready is absolutely key for writing a strong mains answer. Let's just zoom in on frogs for a second. Their skin is permeable. Think of it like a sponge. It absorbs everything from the water and soil around them. This makes them incredibly sensitive to pollutants like pesticides and various pathogens. So when a frog population suddenly crashes, it's a major red flag that the entire ecosystem is in serious trouble. This whole idea actually has a famous historical origin. I'm sure you've all heard the phrase canary in a coal mine, right? Well, it wasn't just a metaphor. It comes from the very real practice of miners carrying canaries down into the mines with them. Because the birds have a much faster metabolism, they were highly sensitive to carbon monoxide. If the canary collapsed, the miners knew the air was toxic and it was time to get out, immediately. We've now taken that exact principle and applied it on a global ecosystem-wide scale. Now, for a critical, very modern example, the emperor penguin. The IUCN has identified it as a key sentinel for the warming happening in the Antarctic. And why is that? Well, its entire life cycle, from breeding to finding food, is completely dependent on stable sea ice. The projections are stark. They show that climate change could absolutely decimate their populations within decades. So you see, the penguin's fate is much more than just a conservation issue. It's a direct, measurable warning about the planetary impact of climate change. Okay, this is all fascinating science, of course. But let's get to the most important question for you as an aspirant. How do you actually use this knowledge in the exam? Let's bridge that gap between simply understanding this concept and scoring marks with it. In GS Paper 3, this single concept is an incredibly powerful tool. You can use it to add so much depth to your answers on biodiversity and conservation, on environmental pollution, on the impacts of climate change, and even on the role of science and technology in environmental monitoring. It's a fantastic concept that connects all these crucial syllabus topics together. And here's a pro tip for your answer writing. Instead of writing a generic statement like, say, pollution harms animals, you could write, the declining population of amphibians, which are sentinel species, indicates severe water pollution and ecosystem stress. Can you see the difference? Using the term sentinel species immediately elevates your answer. It shows the examiner you understand the underlying ecological principles. It's precise, it's scientific, and it's impactful. But wait, the utility of this concept doesn't stop at the mains. It's also an incredibly valuable tool for the personality test, or the interview round, where the board is really testing your ability to connect knowledge to real-world policy. So just imagine for a moment you're in the interview and a board member asks you, how can the concept of sentinel species inform India's conservation strategy and environmental policymaking? Now, this is a question that's designed to test your ability to think critically and propose concrete solutions. So how should you respond? Well, here is a simple, very effective structure. First, define the concept clearly and concisely. Second, provide a diverse example to show your breadth of knowledge. Third, and this is absolutely crucial, link it to the Indian context. You could talk about using certain fish species to monitor the health of the Ganga, or perhaps specific birds to monitor our Himalayan ecosystems. And finally, conclude with a forward-looking policy suggestion, something like integrating sentinel species monitoring directly into our national environmental action plans. So we'll leave you with a final thought to carry into your preparation. Look around you. Think about our own country. What species in India could be our critical sentinels? What are the vultures, the tigers, or the gangetic dolphins telling us right now about the health of our environment? Applying this framework to our own country won't just prepare you for the exam, it will make you a more aware and effective administrator down the line. All the best.